Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps or kind of educate you and teach you and show you how to make a decision on what slot or how many slots to start in Forsage. So if you're watching this video, you are either likely in Forsage and you've already have a few slots activated and you're trying to make a decision whether or not to upgrade and get more slots, or you're brand new to Forsage, you've heard about it, you've seen some videos, you've been hit up about it, you've done the research about it, and you're deciding how heavily to invest or to start in, or what decision to make to get started and on how many slots to get started with. So you could be in either one of the two spectrums, already in, making a decision whether to go ahead and invest more to open up more slots, or fully brand new, just making the decision where to get started and where to join and how fully invested you should be. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to the second slide here. And in Forsage X3, I'm going to go through each specific matrix on itself. And again, and I want to remind you, this video, I'm not going through what Forsage is and things like that. I'll touch base a little bit about how the compensation works, how you make money based off people joining, but I'm not going to go too heavily into it. I'm just making this video to help you decide how many slots to get into, or where to start with if you're just getting started and you're about to get activated at any time. So first and foremost, Forsage X3. So this is the uni level one. This is for your direct sales. So this is how many slots you have open for the amount of partners or distributors that you're out there selling the smart contract to, because that's what Forsage is. It's selling an Ethereum smart contract where people can go out and sell those smart contracts as well, and you're going to earn either off of their work through X4 or through your personal sales, which is what X3 is. So at the time of this recording, Ethereum is currently selling at $230.42. So one Ethereum is equal to $230.42. As you can see in the diagram, in the picture for Forsage X3, we have 12 slots. So both Forsage X3 and X4 both have 12 slots, and both go from 0.025, which is the first one there on the box, the level 1 or slot 1, 0.025, which at the time of this recording at $230.42 is valued at just under $6. I rounded up, so if you actually do the decimals and calculate it, the numbers are a little higher than what it is, but I just did. If you notice it, the Ethereum amount doubles. So 0.025 for slot 1, slot 2 is just double that, which is 0.05. Slot 3 is double of 0.05, which is 0.1. Slot 4 is 0.2, which is double of 3. So all I did is I started with 1. I rounded up. 0.025 was like $5 and change. I just rounded up to 6. And then I just doubled each value until you get all the way to slot 12, which right now at $230.42 is $12,288. So how should you make your decision on what slots, how many, how fully invested you should be? Well, first and foremost, I will tell you that you have to first start with what your resources is. You know, if you're limited to your resources, well, do the minimum. And I've got a diagram on the right kind of talking about what the minimum is. The minimum is 3 slots. That means you are activating level 1 for $6 or 0.025 Ethereum. You're activating level 2 at 0.05, which is $12, and you're activating level 3, 0.10 Ethereum, which is $24. So if you add all of those up, that is, what's that, $32, I believe? No, sorry, $42. I believe I did the math right. 36 and 6. Yeah, $42. So that's a $42 investment on Forsage X3. When we go to the next slide and look at Forsage X4, similar. $42 in X3, $42 in X4. That is $84. I don't think anyone realistically has that difficulty starting at $84, whether today, tomorrow, next payday, or whenever you come up with the money. $84 is what I call, in my opinion, the minimum you should start with. And the reason why I say minimum is you can absolutely start with just 0.05, which is $12 at the time of this recording. That'll activate slot 1 in Forsage X3, and also slot 1 in Forsage X4. That's the bare minimum to get started and lock in your position. But you've got to understand, people are not only coming in level 1 or slot 1. People are typically, at minimum, the majority of people that are doing the bare minimum, joining at the bare minimum, are getting 3 slots in both X3 and 3 slots in X4. Now, on average, what I've been seeing, as well as other team leaders and other people that have been in Forsage since February 2020, the average is 6 slots, meaning that people are getting 6 slots in Forsage X3 and 6 slots in Forsage X4. Now, why is that important? Well, if you start at the minimum and on average people are getting 6 slots, that means that you are losing or turning away for the moment until you get the other slots. If you're at the bare minimum, you're losing slot 4, slot 5, and slot 6. So think about it. Slot 4 is roughly $48. Slot 5 is $96. And slot 6 is $192. So let's say you do the minimum and you're in slot 1, 2, and 3. You spent the $42 to get those slots there, 1, 2, and 3. And then you're starting to build the business. You're sharing this with friends, families, neighbors on social media. However it is that you market the business, you run some solo ad campaigns. However it is that you're going to share this smart contract opportunity with the world, you go out and you get a couple sales. And if those sales are the average person and they're getting 6 slots on X3, well, you're turning down $48 in slot 4, $96 on slot 5, and $192 in slot 6. I can't calculate that fast, but that's 200, 300. That's roughly $340, $350 that you lose every time that someone comes in and does the average. So that's why I just want to educate you and let you know about how to make the decision. Again, your decision first comes through how your resources is, as much as you have today to get started. However, if you can work a little harder, put together more money, start out at the minimum, and then in a few days move up to the average 6 slots, that gives you the probability to not lose those sales to other team members above you, because they're going to roll up until you activate those slots. Now let's take a look at what many leaders are doing. I see lots of leaders out there joining and coming in, and leaders are picking up 9 slots in Forsage X3 minimum and 9 slots on Forsage X4 minimum. So that gives leaders to earn up to $1,536, which is 6.4 every time someone, when they activate someone that comes in at level 9, another leader or someone else who just decides to take it very, very seriously. Think about it. That's 9 slots that you have the ability to join. That means at any time you can be earning $6 from slot 1, $12 from slot 2, $24 from slot 3, $48 from 4, $96 from 5, $192 from 6, $384 from 7, $768 from 8, and $1,536 from 9. But remember, there's no limit to how many times or how often that can happen in an hour, in a day, in a week, or in a month. It's as many times as your team is duplicating and growing. And again, when people are coming in at the average and the leader, and there's lots of people doing the minimum, well, think about what's happening. If there are a bunch of people just doing the minimum and you're in the average or leader, or even possibly in the all-in position where you have all 12 slots, think about what's happening. You have lots of people at the minimum, maybe some at the average, but you're a leader or all-in with 9 or 12 slots. Well, what's happening is when someone out there is doing the work, let's say they're a minimum, they only have 3 slots, and they go out there and they go get someone who's a leader who picks up 9 slots. Well, think about what's happening to those 6 additional slots. They're rolling up. So if your sponsor has those additional 6 slots, if they're a leader, they're making that commission for that sale. If they don't have it, but the person above them has it, their upline, they're getting those additional 6 slots. So that's why it's crucial and it's important that you make a decision in the early part as you start to market this business to get as high up as you can, because you do not want to forego or leave any of those dollars to your upline or to your team. I mean, it will happen and can happen unless if you're all in. If we look at the all in, hey, you don't lose and you don't turn down anything. And when you're all in, you're getting a lot of free and pass ups because people are not positioned all in. I think as an organization or as a company, I think there's about 200,000 or 300,000 people at the time of this recording. Probably only about 15-20% of the people are actually all in. It could be less. I could have the math wrong, but the all in is a lot less than a minimum. Minimum, I would say, is a good majority of the company. Probably 30 to 40% of the company has done the minimum. Average, obviously, is average. So that's what probably means that's probably another 30-40% of the people. And then leaders obviously are out there. Leaders are probably another 10 to 20%. But at the end of the day, when you position yourself as a leader with 9 slots minimum or as an all-in, meaning you've got everything, you're going to get a lot of pass-ups because there's a lot of average people out there getting 6 slots. And then there's also a good amount of people who are minimum getting only 3 slots. And again, there's also people I've seen in my team that only do the bare minimum, the actual real minimum to get into Forsage. And that's just the 0.05, which is slot 1 in Forsage X3 and slot 1 for Forsage X4. Now, before I go into the X4 slide, which really is no different, it's just the way you cycle and the way you earn. The way, I'll just give you a quick little explanation how it works with getting paid. So in Forsage X3, the very first 2, so you see this one right here and this one right here, these first 2 positions pays you 100%. So if you're in slot 1, you make $6 here and $6 here, or you realistically make 0.025 Ether on this one and 0.025 Ether on this one. So you make 0.05. That actually gives you, these first 2 sales gives you the amount of investment where you don't need to come out of pocket, and you can now open up slot 2 and not lose out from slot 2. So these first 2 sales basically double your original investment, and that allows you to go ahead and start going up to slot 2, meaning that you can actually come in either at slot 1 if you're doing the bare minimum, and you come in at slot 1, you don't need to pull out any of your personal investment. You can just take out your earnings and upgrade each level as you do the same thing, because the first 2 pay you. The third one pays your sponsor because you have to rebuy in and start a whole new slot 1 in another cycle. So again, first 2 sales, 100% to you. Third sale pays your sponsor or pays your upline because you need to pay your sponsor in order to reactivate and get a whole nother cycle. Because remember, you can cycle. You see this right here where it shows a recycle. It's showing 0 right now in this illustration, but this can go unlimited. You can cycle any one of these specific slots as many times as possible in here to recycle it. So, and then this just shows you how many people are active at the have gone into it at the time. So that's basically how this works, and they all work the same. The only difference from slot 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12, the only difference is the value you pay to get started and the value you're earning when people are joining you as well. So that's Forsage X3. That's a little bit about the minimum, the average, the leader, the all-in. Let's look at Forsage X4, and I want you to understand, in both Forsage X3 and both Forsage X4, these multiply times 2, because at minimum you need 3 slots here in X3 to be not qualify. There's no ranking. I just call it minimum because I honestly don't think anyone has any issues spending $42 to get 3 slots at Forsage X4 and $42 to get 3 slots in Forsage X4. So I just want you to understand that when I put this minimum here, 3 slots, it really means 6 slots because you have 3 in X3, 3 in X4. On average, if you're going to be an average and get 6 slots, you're getting 6 slots in X3 and 6 slots in X4. So in all reality, you're picking up 6 slots here, 12 slots here, 18 slots here, and 24 slots, which obviously is all in. You have all 12 slots for both X3 and X4. Now with Forsage X4, similarly, the values are the same. The Ether amount is the same exact. The dollar amount is the same exact, depending on where the where Ether is trading for on that specific moment. But what's different is the payout. This is what we call a 2x2 matrix. This is off of a matrix, so you can actually get some help from your sponsor or from your sponsor's upline, depending on where you fell on their matrix in the Forsage X4. Now, the way the payout works, so the payout structure works, is position 1 and position 2 actually pay your sponsor. pays the person that you came under. It could be your sponsor or it can be somebody underneath your sponsor. But these position 1 and position 2 on your matrix pays the person that you came up under. Now position 3, 4, and 5 pays you directly 100%. So if you get person 3, 4, and 5, that pays you 6 times 3, $18 or 0.075 Ether. That's what you get paid here. Now think about this. When you get position, when you fill in position 3, 4, and 5, that person can be either from your work, you brought in 3, you brought in 4, or you brought in 5, or 3, 4, and 5, 3 and 4 can be brought in by the person that you put or that was put in position number 1. Person 5 and person 6 can be either inserted here or dropped here by your efforts, your work directly, or by the work of the person in position 2. And that works the same for all of them. I'm just using a slot 1 as an example. Now the payout is simple. 1 and 2 pays out whoever you fell under. 3, 4, and 5 pays you directly. But the 6th position pays your sponsor. It pays your upline, your specific sponsor. These 2 can pay whoever you fell under, but position 6 pays your sponsor. Why? Because remember, you have unlimited buy-ins to go out and do another cycle on level 1 or similarly through any of the other slots. When you pay the last position, that basically pays your buy-in for another cycle. So you can go out and redo this and cycle this multiple times a day, multiple times an hour, multiple times a week, and multiple times a month. So that's how the Forsage X4 works. So that's a little bit of how the compensations kind of like break down. But simply and ultimately, as just a summary and to finalize, making a decision on what slots to start in Forsage, it's very, very, very simple. At minimum, you need 6 slots, meaning 3 slots in X3 and 3 slots in X4. That gives you 6 slots, 6 different ways you can earn off of both matrices. If you're doing the average, what most people are doing, 6 slots is the average, which is 12 slots, because you're getting the 6 slots on X4 and the 6 slots on X3. As a leader, if you're coming in as a leader, you're taking this very, very seriously, but not going all in right from the get-go. 9 slots. You get the first 9 slots, which is 18 slots. You got 9 on X3 and 9 on X4. And if you're all in, there's not much to say. You've got all 24 slots. You got 12 slots in X3, 12 slots in X4. Before I end this video, I do want to say you can't just activate slot 12 and pay the 51.2 Ether. You actually have to activate each single one. So, you know, the values, if you want slots 1 through 6, it's 6, 12, 24, 48, 96, and 192 all added together. You just can't jump from slot 1, pay $12,288, and go to slot 12. You've got to actually activate each individual slot in order. You can activate them all once you get started, or you can do them as you start earning commissions, depending on how many you activate from the get-go when you get started. But you have to pay for each slot one at a time as you get started or as you start to earn and decide to upgrade later down the road. So that's basically a quick summary, a quick description on how to make a decision on how many slots to start in Forsage. Again, not very, very difficult. Decide where you want to go. Again, your first decision should be, you know, do you want to be average? Do you want to get 6 slots? That's what I would push most people to think about, is what would it take for me to be in the average aspect? Because again, you've got to understand this. This is the most crucial thing, and I'll end it with this, is if on average, most people are doing 6 slots, 6 to 7 slots, and you come in with minimum, either 1, 2, or 3 slots, well, in each one, Forsage X3 and Forsage X4, well, think about the amount of sales that you have potential to lose because you're going to be going out there getting sales or getting some spillover and people are doing average. Or you got leaders come in who are getting 9 slots, or people are going all the way in. Again, it's all about what you have to lose if you don't position yourself correctly from the beginning. So again, make a decision based on what your resources allows you to do. I'm not here to try to guesstimate and pretend where your situation is financially, but again, just make the conscious decision to at least get 6 or 7 slots that get you right there at the average level and will allow you to at least earn from the majority of the work that's going to be done as an entire team. So thank you for watching this video. If you're watching this in a Facebook group, then please be sure that you watch other videos in the group. If this was shared to you by a leader, get back to your leader, reach out to them, talk to them, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.